All right, I'm back after a couple weeks of being sick and having family obligations and all those things. Um, Not going to explain what's going on with the glasses and the different outfits lately. Maybe at some point I will, but I really appreciate everybody that's been continuing to check in on these solo episodes. Lots of great things happening from me leaning into this and having these solo talks, whether they're just a standalone episode by itself or five minutes to learn, which we just brought back. In the last 2 weeks, actually, I've been approached by one major company about having some of their folks come on the show, and I do believe that it'll work out eventually. And of course, I won't say who they are until it actually happens because, those of you who've been in this with me know that folks don't always come through for many different reasons, and that's fine. Of course, it is what it is. But if it happens, if it goes through, I think it's going to be pretty fun thing to be a part of. And there was another person who reached out to me about going to a local school district to connect with some of their students who are in the media arts and working with cameras and recording equipment and all that. So we'll announce as much as we're able to when that happens later this month. But I'm really excited about it. And in asking both of those folks who reached out to me how they found out about KCBC, I've confirmed with one of them that they actually looked up local podcasts in Kansas City and found my show. And the content that motivated them to reach out to me wasn't what I normally would think it would be, which is from another business owner I've interviewed, but from my solo content. And the things that I said about identity or pressure or the things that we go through being content creators, just that process and that journey. And that's what motivated them to reach out. They also did research on me online and did a search of my social media profiles and whatever they could find that's publicly available, which, of course, I don't have anything that's concerning out there. I've had several years to figure out what my personal brand is and what media training is, what you say and what you don't say online and how you say it. And happy to be arriving at a place where who I am out there is really a close representation of who I am in real life as well. Obviously, I won't broadcast everything out there at all times and all that, but I thought that was very interesting and also very encouraging because I have to say these solo episodes are the ones that I sort of cringe on. But going through the solo stuff is a challenge because sometimes I will script out what I'm going to say, or I get really inspired during the week and I'll write down a few notes of what I'm going to talk about, and then that'll become an episode. And it's something that I'm enthusiastic about. I don't really need to think or rehearse or have a teleprompter to say things, but I do cringe. I cringe on the ums, the ahs, the stutters when I lose my point and I get back on. It's very tempting as a podcaster when you want to put out your best effort as well to over-edit yourself and over-correct, which I've talked about a lot on the show. But it occurred to me this week, and this is the point of this episode really, is that the local podcaster, local content creator is being taken more seriously now than I think we ever have been. It was really easy to dismiss just an independent content creator back in the day. I call it the podcast graveyard on Spotify, where there's all these folks who started podcasts and maybe had 4 or 5 episodes and then it was done. And it was so common that people would start podcasts and then let them go that it became almost like an inside joke or a joke of like, oh, you got a podcast just like everybody else. How many episodes you have? Oh, well, I just did 8 or 9. And, life happened and all that came up. That was my experience in talking with podcasters and doing the research before I launched KCBC. But now, this one company who reached out to me this week, I'm like thinking, have you seen my numbers? Because I don't have thousands of subscribers. I don't have thousands of views. Some of my videos, most of my stuff doesn't even have over 100 views that you can see. Of course, it's across Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, so the YouTube numbers are not always the fully accurate picture, all that. But they're reaching out because they see something in this show, and I'm going to continue to explore that as I've looked at some of my peers in the local podcasting scene out here. Consistency seems to be the thing that's differentiating the podcasts who are getting the attention from the bigger companies and the ones who aren't. The ones who actually market themselves, actually show their face, actually have a brand. You can count on the brand, you can count on their color schemes, or you can count on the episodes releasing at a regular time. Those are the folks that are now being involved in this, and these bigger companies are taking notice of the local podcasters. We know that the bigger companies have been focused on the Joe Rogans and the Sean Ryans and the Caller Daddies and all these other big podcasts, because they know that for advertising dollars, they can put things out there. But as Kansas City, for example, approaches having the World Cup out here in 2026, the larger companies are seeing who is active and who is working in the podcasting space, in the media space in Kansas City, so that maybe they can leverage our influence that we have been building over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, however long we've been. I think companies have taken notice that podcasting definitely has taken the place of radio. Radio is still important, and there's radio shows that I think are still going that have followed the podcast format, interviewing format. But it's very encouraging to see that people are taking notice of KCBC and my other podcasters who I constantly name drop on episodes very frequently on this show. And as I get prepared to speak to some students that are looking to do podcasting, some of them are actually already actively involved in podcasting, about what's important, I'm thinking about how this is something that, at least in my eyes, maybe I used to dismiss it as being a content creator wasn't a serious career. And by no stretch of the imagination is this a serious career for me here on KCBC. But more and more, it's become a reality that if you can talk in front of a camera, you can articulate your points, and you can bring value to people that they need in their everyday life, whether your podcast is about home improvement or real estate or some sort of hobby like guitars, guitar reviews, guitar setup, martial arts, poetry, guns, whatever, that if you can bring that value, then you have that ability to influence and possibly be compensated for that. Very, very interesting what's happening with podcasting and with this show. A couple other updates just kind of in closing here. We are bringing back 5 Seconds to Burn. I'm in no condition to record it this week. I'm still healing my voice from being sick in the last week. So we will be doing some more 5 Seconds to Burn reels. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be redoing the original season of 5 Seconds to Burn as well. I'm really encouraged by that. We'll be doing some 5 Minutes to Learn as well. We do have some guests that are coming back on the show. We're either on the show in previous seasons or on the show in 2026. I think everyone that we've had on so far in 2026, they're all people that I want to have back on the show. And I've really been loving this new format, having this with these guests. Had an awesome time talking to Chris Thomas yesterday about all he's doing, him and Lizzie, his wife, because they are a team, everything that they're doing with Brit Boy Street Food. that conversation was so cool. And just to recap, because I know not everybody that comes to the solo episodes will go listen to my guest episodes. Some of you are here just to hear me talk. But Chris and I met in the park on the 4th of July in 2025 and just had a conversation. And that is what led to me knowing about his business, him coming on the show yesterday. He had some comments about my demeanor and posture when he met me versus the demeanor and posture during the podcast episode. And that really gave me a lot of good insight into the state of mind I was in when I met him in the park, where it was basically in so many words, Chris, if I resurrect the podcast or if the podcast continues, I would love to have you on the show. Would you like to be on the show? Yeah, dude, absolutely. In his British accent, of course. And to me then interviewing him yesterday, being totally on fire, excited to be there, all that, really helped me understand how much of a gift this is and how full circle some of these things come. Last night, of course, me and my family, we had the Brit Boy street food that we had left in the freezer, burrito pies, and the sausage rolls. It's just incredible, everything that he's doing. So I'd encourage everybody in Kansas City, especially because he's not nationwide yet. Maybe we'll see if he gets to that status, right? But if you're in Kansas City, place an order with Brit Boy Street Food. Go pick it up from a local market, a local business that they've set up partnerships with, and start to experience that. That's an opportunity for you in Kansas City to experience what it's like to support business owners that are in our city, that are in our area, that our kids, they're going to school with their kids. And it's a great thing to witness as well and be a part of. Other than that, that's it for this update. Again, appreciate you all. Thank you to those of you who have been sending me ideas as well for other topics to cover and other guests to have on the show. I do have a new list, a new backlog of people that I need to reach out to about having on the show. If I don't reach out to somebody you recommend, just know it's not personal. It's because I've either reached out to them before or they're not fitting the vibe that I'm going for in 2026. What is the vibe? I can't say. I just know it's the vibe. It's a vibe that I'm setting, iteratively changing and adapting as I go forward. And I'm very excited about what 2026 has been for this show. If you are from a business, from a nonprofit, and you're listening to this, and this is the first time that you've heard me speak, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you about your ideas of what you do and see if you would like to come on the show. So all of the ways to message me are in the show notes. I'm not hard to find, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, subscribers. Appreciate you all. Until next time, take care.